Right here, he went from 1700 and tilted down to 1216. He did a 500 point tilt and was going through all of it. Was going all kinds of pain, all kinds of quitting thoughts. And then he linked me this quote that kept him going forward. He said, and this is from the book. I didn't make this quote shit. He made, like, this is fucking sick. I was so touched by this. He said, if you follow the principles in the book, you will experience a big leap in your wins after a few weeks. This is where things will get interesting. This is where what you're made of will be tested. At this point, you'll be confident that you can become a Pokemon master. After reaching a certain level, you'll go through a rough patch where you'll have a streak of losses and hardships. It feels as if you've regressed, and this is what differentiates the great players from the pack. What's up, guys? It's Mrjamvad, and today we are back on the Pokemon Showdown server. Before we begin, I'd like to, for another OU live, before I begin, I'd like to caveat by saying today's video is going to be very, very, very different. One, than anything I've ever done, and two, very different than my usual lives. I'm not sure how long it's going to be, because my intention with making this is to be very transparent with you guys about just how to really do this thing as far as Pokemon. As a teacher, for what my channel's been known for, I've done quote unquote my best, which isn't true, which is why I'm making this video, in relaying the information. And this video is gonna be my first step towards actually doing my best to help those who actually choose to use their time to support my channel. And for sure you have your reasons, entertainment, knowledge, whatever, but you do choose to click these videos. And I have a lot of people who have supported me in trying to get the Academy website up, or whether it be on Patreon or whatever, just a stream, and they donate. So there are a couple of things that led me to this point. Good, it's all good coming from here. It's not like a down video or anything like that. But again, my aim is going to be, usually my aim is to improve my skill to where it was and beyond. Okay, and generally how I'd go about that is I'd create an unknown alt, I'd practice off screen, that way I'm not followed and bothered and all that. And then I'd get my skill set back, and then what you'd see on the video, where I know everything that's going on, I know the metagame like the back of my hand, is a byproduct of that. So that's what I was intending to do. However, I decided I'm gonna do it live. Generally, I've paid coaching sessions where I show people how to do this in practice and right in real time and all this stuff, but I'm gonna do it on myself. And what inspired this, two things. Well, I don't even remember what the second one is, but primarily because as I was actually, two things. On the personal end, as I was beginning to, I'm like, I'm gonna be uploading a video later today, and I felt like this tension within me is like, and I know what that tension is. If I'm honest with myself, if I'm being honest with myself, I know that I'm far below the quality of lives. Now, the quality of my lives is different from other YouTubers. If you go to, if you watch somebody else, it may be for entertainment. While you may be entertained by my videos, my pulling point is, I know what the fuck I'm doing. So particularly in yesterday's video, I mean, it was a late video, yada yada, but I still know, even if it wasn't a late video, I know that I'm at like 50% of my skill right now. In every video I make that is me knowing that I'm 50% of my skill, there's a hollowness to it. Except there were a couple, like the past few, that I actually applied myself, but even then I know I'm like, I got a little above 50 to maybe 60%, but there's still 40% that's left over, and that's because I haven't trained. And the reason I haven't trained is because I haven't been putting it high on the priority list. So now it begs the question, well, if you're not gonna put it high on the priority list, then just stop uploading. You either go hard or you go home kind of philosophy. Just you can't be in this gray zone. Because you're not enjoying the videos as you're making them, and I'm sure that'll eventually translate to your viewer. Your viewers if they're gonna choose to use their time, deserve better than that. And I'm gonna go into that. But that was basically my motivation. And secondly, well, partly because of the first reason too. What was I gonna say? I have some apprehension. I'm like, where's that apprehension coming from? And then I remembered, bang, in the book, and I'll reference it. Where I meant when I've been here before. I've been through this journey, but right before I wrote the book, I was just as bad as I am now, so to speak. Basically, not as tip-top shape. Probably a little worse than I am now, but like more or less not in tip-top shape as far as my skills. And I had to relearn all of that, and that's how the book came about. That's how I was able to relate to people who sucked or currently are inexperienced, because I got to the point where I was inexperienced, coming from being one, if not the best player in the world at one point. So in singles, at least. So I'm like, if you could go from that to there, then climbing that journey up was painful. So I'm like, okay, this is the same apprehension that I felt back then. And so I'm like, well, if I'm going to allow that apprehension to cause me to delay and pretend that it's not there, or pretend that's not what this is really about, pretend like you're not going to have to crumble your ego and your self-image into fine dust and rebuild Jam into the lean, mean machine that you know you can be, then I can't come on this video with any kind of integrity, or any video for that matter. Nor can I ever even promote my book with any kind of integrity, because I'm not following the very principles that I put out in the book. So I'm essentially going to be using my book to reteach myself. I don't know if I'll make this a series. You guys tell me the reception and all that. But this is just, I'm going to show you exactly how I go about it. And to even hammer the point even more, the team that I used yesterday to lose a bunch of games, and I just wasn't playing well, and the team wasn't doing well, I'm going to use that exact same team to amplify the point, drive it home of the fact that, listen, like, losing is okay, and you got to dive back into that. And once you lose that association with losing being this bad thing, and you losing now means something about you, then it'll be far easier to soar through. So I'm going to play on my actual alt, meaning anybody that I face now who I play and they beat me, or they completely crush me. They completely crushed me, not on an alt. They just, like, Jam lost and got crushed. So starting off with the first game, again, I'm going to play this like how I do in training. Obviously I'm going to narrate it, but I'm going to show you the process I go through. So if you have the book, I've never really had a video complement to this, and I thought about it to showing you how to practice. I know I talked about it, but I never really showed how to practice. So we're gonna get into it here, and I'm gonna do my best to relay. And the more I learn, the more the next game will stack up, and you'll see what I mean in a sec. So Celebi, we're gonna try to do our best as far as the left to right analysis. And remember, the point of the left to right analysis is to determine the subjective value of each Pokemon. So Celebi, upon calm minding, beats 1, 2, potentially 3 after rocks, 4, potentially 3, and loses to Mandibuzz. So Mandibuzz, certain conditions need to be met, but Mandibuzz pretty much hard stops Celebi. Not really, because Mandibuzz can't really harm me back, and after a while Orsphere is going to start doing that. So Celebi, very high subjective value. Hippowdon guards well against Zero Aura, and that's about it, but that's a very important guarding. Mandibuzz guards well against nothing in particular, so that's very low value. Invites Cure, which we don't want. Metal upon going for heavies, the bash thing. He has quite a few mods that can take that, and I don't outspeed very much of his team, so decently low value. We'll see. I'd put it at mid value. Salazzle, very problematic for him. But with his water types, I want to be mindful of that, particularly because I'm so weak to Dracovish. And with Dragapult, very good versus the team. Very good, particularly with, you're gonna see. So my game plan is to Celebi sweep. For me to do that, this is where you formulate a game plan. Now, I was supposed to do this prior, So then here's gonna knock off. Hippodon comes in, and this allows me to get up my stealth rocks. Hippodon's very low value, so even if he said he has grass knot, which is fine. Let's say even if he did have grass knot, this puts me in a position where I'm decent about it. He's gonna go for a knockoff or CC here, knockoff or something that can harm. So I want to control. So what I'll do is go to Mrjamvad. We've already established that Mrjamvad is relatively low value, and actually getting the not having the item here is actually pretty solid for two reasons. I can go for a double iron bash here. You could go hard Ferrothorn. I could pivot out, but there's right now two of the least useful Pokemon are in and receiving the damage, right? So Ferrothorn, we could have predicted the Ferrothorn. Completely. What am I trying to say? Okay, so Salazzle, excellent. So this is a great position for us, as we'll be able to substitute and yeah, substitute is the correct play. Now I don't have, this is an important component. So you see the team preview part, how my timer went down. If you go to my playlist for, and I'll actually try to do a bit of live stuff. Okay, so he's going for knockoff. So he's giving me Ferrothorn, I'm guessing. So we're gonna sub again. Since he's gonna knock off infinitely, we'll disable it. He seems to be trying to give me Ferrothorn, so he doesn't value the Ferrothorn as much, which is a good assumption to make. Like it's not a bad play. I'm not sure what his other moves are. I can tell he doesn't want anything else taking the hit. Zeraora might come out right. Sludge Wave, expert belt. I'm trying to determine whether or not. So I could. So like right here. So I'm gonna Sludge Wave over for a couple reasons. I'm gonna Sludge Wave here. I should be able to get my stand up and knock him out. Actually Plasma Fist. So okay, excellent. So he's gonna go for the knockoff here. It's fine. His only means of hazard control is defog. Now the fact that the Zeraora isn't dead is pretty annoying. So I'm gonna have to give up 2 Pokemon to kill 1. So this is because of my lack of planning in the beginning of the game. I know what the subjective value of my pieces are. Now I can still win, like I still have something in mind, but the moves I'm doing are in reaction to my opponent because I don't have a solid game plan. So what I generally do as I'm going, Zeraora's gone, which is a pretty big deal. You might try to reset the rain. I'm debating whether or not I want. So if I'm going for my potential win condition, what would I need? What condition would I need? Okay, so Dragapult's fine here. Two reasons. If he went to Mandibuzz, I burnt it, which would have allowed Celebi to, because I don't think he's gonna allow me to toxic his Mandibuzz. Dragapult coming in. Scarf Dracovish is outsped. I didn't expect Dracovish to come in here. This allows me to Will-O-Wisp freely as he goes to the Mandibuzz. That's a very big miss, because now he gains all the momentum. So the hacks, I'm not gonna factor hacks in. If he allows me to toxic him here, phenomenal. That would help me a lot. Okay, so I don't think he's thinking this through thoroughly. Now it's gonna come down to whether or not the Dracovish is scarfed. Because burning this would have been a little better, because now Celebi can't get U-turned. And I have to go to Celebi here and Calm Mind. So you'd see that U-turn damage. So if it's Scarf Dracovish, then I'm fucked. If it's not Scarf Dracovish, then maybe I stand a chance. And that's how this is gonna come down. If he goes to Ferrothorn first, the fact that he's hesitating means it's likely banded. I could have still struggled with the Dracovish as he goes to cure him. We gotta hope that Aura Sphere knocks him out. Doesn't. And we go down. So being burned there would have had the Calm Mind. Since he's not scarred Dracovish, we'd be at a lot more health, which would have allowed us to Calm Mind again with the Celebi, which would have stopped us from going down to the Curum's Ice Beam. So this is an important component. So what you're going to want to do is forfeit here, right? And this is why I always say a lot of things are like, as somebody watches that game who they're not at the place yet where they're able to see certain things. And that's the only way I can put it, see certain things, because there's no, I used the analogy the other day, like if you're good at something, you're once you hit a certain point, like if you have a 6-year-old brother or something, like there's certain things about the world that he cannot yet see, so how he's gonna make his decision and his perception of the world is not false, but it's not considering everything that could be considered. So a lot of times I'll see comments that aren't considering everything that can be considered, and it's just a byproduct of that. I'm not sure how, or is that just normal damage? That did literally fucking 0, man. I need to know the rolls for that as well. But yeah, so the next step you want to do is upload your replay. So see how I just lost that game very poorly, like, what, 6, 5, 6, yeah, lost the game completely, right? Nah, I was thinking like, all he would need to do is get the rain up and then Dracovish my Mandibuzz. Plus Ferrothorn would be annoying to Mandibuzz anyway. But yeah, so the next step is to save your replay, get it to your perspective. You're gonna reset it, and this is how, I discussed this in the book. This is how you improve your left to right analysis, because what just happened is, as I'm performing my left to right analysis, and when I coach people, they always struggle with this component, which is why it's dope that like I'm back at this poor level, and that doesn't feel good. Let me make that very clear. Like I can feel my ego of who like I was trying to creep up and like say, nah, you're not. It was like trying to caveat it in some way. Oh, it was because of no. Because at the end of the day, none of that helps you get better. So I just lost because I was not good enough in that moment. I wasn't good enough to do the left to right analysis in time. My opponent used his tools better than I did. Whether that's the full truth or not, what it does is it removes room for the bullshit and for you to not removes the room for you to not how do I put this? For you to have some kind of little caveat in the back of your mind. If you just fully accept it, whether it's hacks or not, it's just a far easier time improving, and it'll speed up your improvement process. So as I was doing the left to right analysis, I determined that Celebi was something that was very valuable, and I determined the conditions that needed to be met for Celebi to do what Celebi does. So I'm gonna treat this left to. I'm gonna look back at the replay, and I'm gonna pretend as if the battle's going. So what I'm trying to do right now is practice left to right analysis, and this can take time, right? So I'm gonna perform it now. Celebi's good versus Pelipper upon calm minding. Good versus their aura. It can go for knockoff, but beyond that, I'm good. Once you recover, it'll take about 40% Kyurem, yeah, upon calm minding, Kyurem can be killed. Now, something I didn't account for is knowing how much +1 Aura Sphere would do to Kyurem. So that's something important that I just learned in that battle. Now I know how much +1 Aura Sphere does to Kyurem, and now that I know that, as I'm going into the battle, that's something known as automatic information that I now have. As I'm looking at his team, my perception is no longer calm mind beat Kyurem, because now I know, oh, it has to be at least 53% based on the roll he got. So I need to get Kyurem at half somehow in order for Celebi to kill it, or I need to get to +2 with Celebi before I attack the Kyurem. So one of those two things need to happen, just based off the experience I just had. Ferrothorn generally can't do too much damage to Celebi. Maybe I'm wrong about that as far as the Gyro Ball damage. Maybe Gyro Ball does a lot more than I'm wary of. But as far as offensively, Celebi is going to beat Ferrothorn generally before Ferrothorn beats Celebi. So now, again, to be able to do this, and I mentioned this in the book, you need to have significant metagame knowledge to have a proper left to right analysis. Like, if you don't know something, then you can't account for it. And if you recall the 3 pillars, mind you guys, and I'll pull it up right now. If you go to the channel and you go to playlist, right? If you go to playlist, I have made videos about everything here. It's called Get Good at Pokemon 100% Guaranteed. And all these concepts are in this video. So right here I explain what's the metagame, how the team building work, and then I break down all the things that you'll need. They're in short form, so it's not like you have to watch a 5-hour video in order to learn these things. Right. And this is a big video. Want to watch the 3 pillars. A lot of these will help you get a complete understanding of what you need to do, very step by step. So if you don't have the book, you can't afford the book, or for whatever, it's an ebook, so it's not like you have to wait for shipping, then this would be a very good resource for you to have while you're waiting. So as we're gonna go back to the replay, that was just something to show you that, okay, you don't have to be in the dark. Okay, so we've determined, and oh yeah, and Dracovish, I'm not sure how much Dracovish needs to be at before Psychic. Now these are things I should know, so this is my fault. I should know, okay, well, I need Dracovish to be at a certain amount in order to knock him out with Psychic. I know I need, and it's generally more important to know, like, for example, how much you need Dracovish and Kyurem to be at, because those Pokemon can kill you. So in the case of Ferrothorn, I'm not too concerned about how much I need Ferrothorn to be at, because Ferrothorn, if the situation arises where if it's Celebi versus Ferrothorn, assuming I had the leftovers and all that, as I'm calm minding up, Ferrothorn may not even have anything to really do a significant amount of damage to me, so I can keep boosting on the Ferrothorn, KO him with Aura Sphere, and then proceed to sweep my opponent with Celebi. Right. So these are things that you want to keep in mind if you're choosing to go for the sweep. So as you're performing the left to right analysis, you go, okay, cool. So you've determined how valuable Celebi is. And remember, objective value is the Pokemon's type. Let's say if Celebi good versus a team of filled with water types, it likely will be, because it's a team filled with water types that are weak to grass, and Celebi is weak to grass. So objectively, Celebi is good there. Well, that's actually not. Subjectively, Celebi is good in that game. But if Celebi is fighting a team filled with fire types, then subjectively, Celebi is not so great. Like, its objective value is stuff such as, like, okay, does it have, what's its typing? Does it resist water, electric? Facts are objectives. Like, objective value is factual information, whereas subjective value is how that Pokemon matches up within that game. So let's see. So Hippowdon, we're gonna check its subjective value. So Hippowdon loses to Pelipper, it loses to Kyurem, it loses to Ferrothorn, it loses to Dracovish, does not lose to Mandibuzz, So it only does well versus Zero Aura and Mandibuzz potentially. Is Zero Aura a big problem to our team? Not exactly. It can be annoying, as we found out, but it's not a massive threat to the team. Now, if it has Grass Knot, then Hippowdon isn't even a solid enough answer for that. So these are things you want to take into consideration as you're moving forward. So now that you've determined how Hippowdon, remember with subjective value, what you're looking for is how does this individual Pokemon match up versus the team that I'm facing. So Celebi matches up decently well, I'd say pretty solidly if you do things correctly. Hippowdon, not so well. So let's move on to the next one. And you want to go across this as quickly as possible without missing actual information. And the more you do it, this is the point of doing the post-game practice. The more you do this, then you see how it took me like half the timer to do my left to right analysis. Sooner or later, it'll take you 50 seconds, then 40 seconds, then 30 seconds, then 20 seconds, and your left to right analysis will become very fast and very detailed, as you've seen in many of my videos when I was at my being actually a good player. It was very quick, but what that did was frame the battle in a certain way, so when I went in there, I had a particular outcome that I was trying to achieve before the game even started. So then I'm no longer in reaction trying to figure it out as I go. I already know what I'm setting out to do. So each move had a purpose, and without the game plan, my moves didn't have real purpose. I was reacting. So something a lot of my coaching clients will generally have is they'll have the habit of going, I think he's gonna, and then that's how they choose their next play. I think the opponent is going to do this, which is a reactive style of playing. Whereas proactively, you're supposed to say, okay, well, I know what my outcome is. So if my outcome in this game was to sweep him with Celebi, I know for me to do that, these conditions will need to be met. I'll need to burn the Mandibuzz with my Dragapult, which should be simple enough since Dragapult lures in Mandibuzz. Will-O-Wisp, simple, pretty straightforward. I will need to get the Kyurem at a 50%. Okay, maybe I need to get up rocks in order to do so. Okay, simple enough. Bait the Kyurem in one time, it comes in on Stealth Rocks, that's 25%. So next time the Celebi Calm Minds, and then the Kyurem comes in, is going to be at 50%. So now it dies to Aura Sphere. Like, these are the situations, and only through experience, guys, this is the key part. You gotta go on that ladder and play and get fucked up. It is not going to feel good. However, over time, you're gonna start framing it as a learning experience, and then you're gonna be open to losses because, well, that just gave me information. Like, as I'm talking about this right now, like, that loss initially didn't feel good, but now as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I'm tripping. Like, why is my ego so wrapped up in winning when so many lessons are to be gained from losing? So we're gonna run through this left to right again. So Mandibuzz guards well against not very much. It loses to most of his team, so that has pretty low subjective value. I didn't really assess that properly now that I think about it back in the game. I probably should have allowed Mandibuzz to go down. Like when the Zero Aura tried to Plasma Fist, I could have stacked Mandibuzz. Looking back, like, it's very low in subjective value, so lower than Melmetal. So that's something I didn't think about. Yeah, that was just like, looking back now, it was just a stupid play. I could have played that Mandibuzz better. So as you're thinking about it now, you're gonna start thinking, oh, I could have done this differently. I could have done this differently. Okay, cool. Melmetal subjective value in this one. Let's think. What does Melmetal do? It's choice banded, and generally it's gonna aim to click Double Iron Bash. Okay, let's say when he does click Double Iron Bash, what happens after that? Pelipper is gonna likely come in. Ferrothorn's gonna likely come in. Dracovish is gonna likely come in. All of which resist. Dracovish likely won't come in, but Pelipper and Ferrothorn will likely come in. So that will lead you in a position where you'll need to predict which one will, either Ferrothorn or Pelipper. Now, and this is a really important point, depending on what your game plan is, it might not matter which one comes in. So let's say you go for Double Iron Bash and you know he's gonna go to Pelipper, but you don't Thunder Punch instead. You go for Double Iron Bash. Well, if you need Pelipper to be at, let's say, 50% for Celebi to knock him out, and you don't want to take the Specs Hurricane or the Hurricane that he'll go for, then it doesn't matter if he goes to Pelipper or not. You don't need to OHKO it. You only need to get it to 50% for Celebi. You understand what I'm saying? And I see a lot of times players will try to, and this happens when you're reacting and you don't have a proactive plan, they'll try to predict the Pelipper. The opponent goes to Ferrothorn and you Thunder Punch, not realizing, oh damn, if I just Double Iron Bash twice, Melmetal isn't that important. I get to get Ferrothorn at a certain level that I'd like. Oh, now it's within Celebi range, so I don't even have to take the knockoff or the Gyro Ball that it has. So again, you're building up to that game plan, and I'll formulate the game plan right after I'm done with this Salazzle and Dragapult. So in this case, Salazzle, pretty solid, pretty annoying to deal with. Offensively, it's gonna be Salazzle offensively isn't gonna be the best. It's just more so about how annoying and how is he gonna disrupt the opponent's team. So once you click Toxic, something is guaranteed to get toxic. So you're gonna ask, well, what problem does Salazzle solve in the grand scheme of things for the game plan that I have? So if you're planning to sleep with Celebi, what can Salazzle offer that will assist that? And if you, it could be low value in this game, it could be decent value. It just depends. And in this game, Dragapult, like let's say if you toxic the Mandibuzz, Dragapult now has a far easier time in beating that. If you turn out on the Mandibuzz, switching in, you know, position, Metal, whatever, or you position back the Salazzle in to force the Mandibuzz to stay in and get whittled down so that Dragapult can be opened up, because he's very weak to Dragapult. After Zero goes down, speed-wise, as far as something that can threaten it, he's very weak to Dragapult, and we have several things that can handle Mandibuzz, which is the only thing that can attack and do any, like, switch in on the Dragapult. So very weak to that. And again, you can choose to U-turn to gain the momentum, but that's not something he switches well into. So subjective value-wise, the biggest threats we have are Celebi and Dragapult. Now, another thing you want to do is assess what's problematic to you. Because I haven't used this team a lot, I haven't really properly assessed what could be problematic. But looking at it just from a face value standpoint, Scarf Dracovish could be problematic with Scarf. Fishious Rend or Scarf Crunch for Celebi. Dragapult outspeeds Scarf Dracovish, so you don't really have to worry about it in Dragapult's case. But as far as like something to switch in on, Dracovish is a massive problem, so you want to limit that as much as possible. Kyurem's Ice Beams are a massive problem. Both of your Pokemon that can switch in on Ice Beam that resist are offensive in a way of looking at it, so they won't take it well. So limit Kyurem and Dracovish switching. Zeraora with Grass Knot, as we learned, is very problematic. So we want to be mindful of Zeraora. And beyond that, you know, something like a Specs Pelipper with Weather Ball or Hurricane could be problematic. So offensively, his team is actually pretty dangerous to ours. His defensive backbone mons are the only ones that don't pose much of a threat. So now that we've determined, now we know how each piece lines up. Notice how it took a long time to determine that. And that's why I said I don't know how long this video is going to be. But I said, fuck it. You know, if this gets 3 views, fuck it. You know what I mean? Whoever watched it and benefited from it, that's all I can ask for. That's all I can ask for. So next, you know, again, this is going to be done. The more you practice this after each game, and don't skip them. If you're training, don't skip this. I had to tell people this all the time when I had coaching. They try to skip and fast forward the process, and then that'll fuck them up in the end. Do not skip. Go back. I know when you suffered a painful loss, especially like this one, you don't want to watch the replay, but you got to go into that pain. You got to go into that L and that's where a lot of the growth is going to come about. So after you've determined what your left to right analysis, this is the biggest step. So if people will say, okay, all I need to do is weaken Mandibuzz for Celebi, this is the critical part. I'm giving away literally coaching session like level analysis here, but fuck it. Now you've discovered what you need to do. Here's a big question. How are you going to do it? And that part is, you think you know, you think you're doing this, but you're not. Most players do not do this. Even at the highest, like most players, okay, I need to weaken, I see it all the time. And then they go into the game figuring it out. And, you know, you can play off gut, especially if both players are playing off gut. Then, you know, one of them has to win. But you're playing off instinct and experience rather than formulating a proper game plan that provides that framework. So you know you're always a step ahead of your opponent. You may have a bad matchup, but it's always better to be a step of your opponent. Like you always, it's not debatable, it's not an opinion, like it's 100% a fact that if you have a game plan and the opponent does not, you have an advantage, because now you understand how your pieces play into. Now if that opponent is like trying to react to you, they're always going to be at a disadvantage. Now they may be more skilled than you, so when you get your skill level up, right, then you're gonna generally win those games until that opponent gets aware of that. It doesn't mean you win every time. There are a lot of other factors that go into Pokemon, but it does put you at an advantage. So now I'm saying how I'm gonna do it. I'm like, okay, well, if I need, for me to win, I need Kyurem at 50%, and I need Mandibuzz burnt or status in some way. And I don't need Zeraorgon, but it'd be nice. But as far as like, because Zeraor is the only thing that can outspeed me, what do I need to do in order to get these conditions met? Okay, for Kyurem to get to 50%, do I have something that lures Kyurem in? Not really. Maybe if he'll hard switch on my Hippowdon as I go for Earthquake. Issue with that is if he goes into Pelipper as you go for Earthquake trying to predict Kyurem, then we're looking at a situation where you're gonna have to sack him on to this Pelipper most likely if it's offensive specs. Don't want that situation. So rocks are far better in this situation. Okay, well, if you need rocks, you're gonna have Kyurem come in once on rocks. You may have to give up Hippowdon, but the next time he comes in on Celebi, he will be at 50%, assuming he didn't take any other damage. Maybe even lower than that, and then that will afford you the opportunity to kill it at +1 with Aura Sphere. So that's the situation. That's just one. Mind you, you're just looking for solutions. How? Mandibuzz's case. Okay, Mandibuzz, I may Toxic it with Hippowdon, I may burn it with Dragapult, I may Toxic it with Salazzle, and that will open up Celebi being able to 1v1 it. If you burn it, then it takes less damage from Foul Play, U-turn, all these things. If you Toxic it, then the Mandibuzz can't 1v1 your Celebi. So these are very, 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 very important things. In the case, now that I found out it was U-turn, in this case, burning it would have been a little bit better, because you just, well, since Zeraor is gone, burning it, Toxicking it was actually quite fine. So if Kyurem actually went down to the Aura Sphere, we had a pretty solid shot at winning that game, but it didn't, and knocked us out. So yeah, so if we burnt it, Celebi probably would have swept, because he wouldn't have knocked out Dragapult, all these things. But we'll see that as far as we us going through the game. So now that we've determined, okay, I have a loose game plan. Okay, my game plan is going to be, okay, well, I want to burn the Mandibuzz and get the Kyurem about 50% if I can. I'll try to knock out Zeraora, but if I can't, so be it. And I'm not sure what range Dracovish needs to be at, but let's just assume Dracovish needs to be at 75%. So that's 2 Stealth Rock switches. So as you're starting to play, you're like, okay, I need to get up rocks as early as possible. Now Stealth Rocks is not this mindless move you click. Every move has to have a purpose. So it's like, okay, well, I need the Stealth Rock. That's why I wanted to have a game plan before I went into that game, because that would be my guiding that would assist me in guiding through the game. So I'm like, okay, I'm not reacting to my opponent. I'm like, okay, I need this. Okay, I know. Doesn't matter if I predict Zero Aura. Do I need to predict Zero Aura? Do I need to scout for the Grass Knot? Are these things important? Do I need to double the Melmetal? Like, all these things are factors now. The reason I stealth rock is because I knew I needed Cure Low. So that's why, and I didn't know if there are Grass Knots. So that's also a thing. But yeah, so now that we've had somewhat of a game plan for Celebi, we've chosen Celebi to be the sweeper. We need to burn Mandibuzz. Now here comes the next step. Another step that a lot of people don't know and don't realize they need to do is your lead. Now your lead's goal is to not allow your opponent to be able to essentially go down, like not giving your opponent significant momentum turn one. It's a means of protection. So if Dracovish and Kyurem are the biggest threats to the team, that's a perfect example here, then it'll probably not be the smartest thing for you to lead with Mandibuzz or lead with Hippowdon, because then you immediately give your opponent the advantage. So what you want to do is, if you've discovered that the two biggest threats to your team are Kyurem and Dracovish, you want to lead in a way that does not afford for your opponent to essentially get a kill turn one. You just gifted your opponent a kill. So what Pokemon would solve this issue? You know, there are a couple. Dragapult outspeeds both. You could also lead with Melmetal. Not as good versus Dracovish. However, because we determined that Melmetal doesn't have the highest value in this game, that would be perfectly fine, because you can go take the Fishious Wrench superpower, and after that superpower, you'll get the Dracovish within the range of health, because superpower would cover Ferrothorn switches as well. Excuse me. You get the Dracovish within the range you need it to for Celebi to just knock it out with Psychic outright, most likely. It doesn't even need to boost. So that's something to keep in mind. So you would never lead with Hippowdon. You'd never lead with Mandibuzz. You could potentially lead with Salazzle, because it has disable, and these Pokemon tend to be choices. If it Earth powers, then you can disable, and then that allows you to be able to Toxic something. If the Dracovish is Scarf, you could die. So that's something you just want to be wary of. But yeah, Dragapult, Melmetal, probably your two best picks. And then from there, you have your game plan in mind, and then that's how you move through the game. So the next step, after I always do all this stuff, because I'm explaining it's a lot slower, because I'm going into detail. I already know a lot of the stuff that I'm telling you, so I do it unconsciously. But this is how, this part right here is the missing piece to why you're not as good as you could be. This process is the key. This is how I got as good as I got. There are a lot of nuances that are going to be in the book as well as the video, so it's not as straightforward, but I'm trying to, essentially I'm giving you guys the fucking secrets, right? Yeah, so what I generally do after that is I play the game and then I think about it. So I led Dragapult in this one. I'm not sure if I had contemplated that when I did this. So again, the options were Dragapult, Salazzle, Melmetal. Melmetal would have been a great lead versus Zero Aura, but a poor lead versus something, let's say, like a Specs Pelipper. So Dragapult, I think, was the best lead in every situation. And now this puts me in a position where I'm gonna have to be scouting for, because he's gonna likely go for knockoff as we go to Hippowdon. It's just pretty obvious play. Now, right here, this next turn, he ends up grass knotting me, right? And I survive and go for Stealth Rock. Right there were a couple options. Remember what my game plan is. Is Zero Aura being gone necessary for your game plan? Not necessarily, no. So didn't need the Earthquake there to predict that. What we could have done there was double to Melmetal to scout for the Grass Knot. Because if the opponent switched, he would likely go to what? He'd go to either Dracovish, Kyurem, or Pelipper, all of which match up well versus Mrjamvad. So in hindsight, perhaps it would have been a better play to go to Mrjamvad. The reason I don't necessarily regret this is because me having rocks up here is just phenomenal either way. And I want it as early as possible. That way we can get started, and hopefully we can force Kyurem in and get this party started. So we'll be able to go to Mrjamvad here. As he goes for knockoff, figured that would be the case either way. And now our item is gone. So in hindsight, the better play here was to go for superpower. I double iron bashed. There was no reason to double iron bash. I think I double iron bashed because I forgot that he had knocked my item off. So superpower was best there for 2 reasons. If he went to Pelipper, if he stayed in, we blew him away with the sand. If he went, because what would he go for? Close combat. If he went to Pelipper, we could then knock him out with the Thunder Punch. Remember, we're trying to get certain conditions met. Pelipper is his hazard. Well, actually, Pelipper might not be the hazard control. It might be Man the Buzz. But we're trying to get certain conditions met for Celebi. Mrjamvad being at full was not the most important thing. Ferrothorn getting whittled meant. What did that mean for the team? It wasn't that big a deal, in all honesty. As we allow him to go to Ferrothorn here. So we're trying to each turn, because I'm looking back at my plays. I'm like, if I'm trying to build up for Celebi to sweep, then I need to force in Kyurem and Mandibuzz soon. So how would I force Kyurem and Mandibuzz in while rocks are up without allowing him to D5? I don't disagree with the Salazzle play here. Now this is he went for he was gonna sack Ferrothorn here, which made sense. Just if you look at his subjective value, Ferrothorn wasn't that important in this game. If I had Flamethrower, I would have killed him. We believe we sub again just on the odd chance. So now we realize he's committing to knocking off. We disable. Yeah. And the Zeraora play was relatively obvious here, but we just had no counterplay to this. There was just no counterplay. Sludge Wave. Yeah. I'm thinking back. I think everything. If we're gunning for the Celebi situation, because we don't have the best matchup versus his team as it is. So a lot of things you may not be able to control because of just what you're afforded based on the fact that he has a Grass Knot Zeraora is a really bad matchup for this. So what we could have done here though is we could have pivoted to Mandibuzz, because that would have allowed us to only lose 1 Pokemon, or maybe not lose any. But we end up giving away 2 Mons here. Remember, if Mandibuzz didn't have a high subjective value, so if we went to Mandibuzz here on the Grass Knot, he'd take another round of sand. We could have sacked Hippowdon next, or because he's just an expert belt, we could have just went for Roost and allowed him to die to sand as he attempted the Plasma Fist. And then that'll force either Kyurem or Pelipper. And if Pelipper gets sacked, then if Pelipper comes in and goes for Defog, then let's say Defog Pelipper and goes for Defog, then Hippowdon can come back in, not the next turn, but like Hippowdon's now alive, Salazzle's now good, and his Ferrothorn's rocks are just gone. If he chose to go to Kyurem, took rocks. If he chose to go to Mandibuzz, I believe we have knockoff on this. So we had an option there to either U-turn out and position ourselves however we wanted. But I think in that situation, the better play would have been to remove the Mandibuzz's item. One, because we don't want it U-turning on us, because rocks would have been up. That's the last one we want. And also, if it does U-turn, that means it's going to take rocks next time upon switching, which is great for Dragapult. Remember, Dragapult is still phenomenal versus team, especially with Zeraora now gone. So I played these next couple turns horribly. Could have not lost any Pokemon. Ended up losing 2. So those are 2 potential debt fodders. as we go to Dragapult here. Remember, we're still trying to build up to that end game. Dragapult, let's say it needed to be at 75%. We already got 12%, so we just need him to switch in on rocks next time. So we're gonna go for Will-O-Wisp here. The reason is, if it was a Scar Dracovish, then Celebi would get Celebi burnt. I mean, it would burn him, so Celebi would be able to chew up whatever hit he wanted to go for. So we'd start boosting, because Celebi at this point actually has free reign to win. We missed that Will-O-Wisp, which is a pretty big deal, because had we hit that Will-O-Wisp, we'd have been able to U-turn pivot into Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz would have lured in Kyurem. Well, it's assuming that he didn't have rocks. But Mandibuzz would have lured in Kyurem. Because we're really specially defensive Mandibuzz, we won't go down to any one hit from the Kyurem. Rocks would have been gone, U-turn, Dragapult in, and then we can pivot, and then we can get one boost. We'd get +2 with Kyurem on Celebi, yeah, and we probably would have won the game. So this is and then the second one missing was a pretty big deal too, because he stayed into foul play, which I thought was odd looking back. I guess he figured I'd try to Will-O-Wisp again, or he was just like, if I can get the Dragapult here, that's gonna be a big deal. So at this point, it was pretty difficult to win. You know, he's gonna foul play, predicting us to sub, because he can U-turn. The only way we'd have been able to win is if the Aura Sphere killed Kyurem, and this is why it's necessary to know this information. Yeah, because I don't think even at +2 he would have taken it from 57%. That was the only other option, if we could take it from 50%. I guess in hindsight that was a better play, because even if it wasn't spexed, I just thought it might have killed, but it did absolutely zero. So we even had a chance right here, because if it took it at +2, we knocked it out with Aura Sphere. His other option, this would die. You'd have to go to Mandibuzz and U-turn. We'd recover, and then it'd be back to square one. And the Mandibuzz is toxic, so he can't keep coming in for free and not have any consequences. And eventually he's gonna get to the point where Aura Sphere is knock him out. It's gonna just knock him out. So we actually could have won the game there, but notice how we set it up for Celebi. I know this was a mad long analysis, and I was like weary about shit like this, but you know, fuck it. Like, if you want to get better, you'll watch it. So usually that's the process I go through, and when I go through that process, I go into the other game gaining so much more knowledge and context that as I'm moving through things, it's like, okay, oh shit. Now I understand the metagame to a more significant degree. Now I understand how this team functions, especially if you're somebody that uses the same team. You understand better how your team functions, and you understand more thoroughly how that Pokemon functions. So as you're going into this game, you're like, okay, well, I understood all the downfall, the pitfalls, because I thoroughly examined them from the last game. So I'm like, okay, as I'm doing my left to right analysis, it'll be slightly faster. So as I'm like, okay, Clefable, if I want to try to sweep with Celebi, if it's not a boost in Clefable, I can Calm Mind beat this, Aura Sphere beat this, Psychic beat this, Psychic beat this, Psychic beat this. Aegislash is not beatable unless it's a special set without Toxic, and I can, you know, out Calm Mind it, or I get rid of it. Okay, cool. Alright, so subjective value. Hippowdon, what's Hippowdon good for? Okay, it guards well against Conkeldurr, guards well against Zero Aura, and a physical Aegislash. So let's figure that out first. Okay, cool. We find out what Hippowdon's good subjective value. Okay, Mandibuzz's subjective value. Guards decently against Hydreigon depending on the set, and a special Aegislash depending on the set. Okay, excellent. So I'm gonna find out that information. Melmetal, upon going for Metal Bash, is very good in this game. We either hit Aegislash, which assists Celebi in being able to sweep, because it might bring it to the range where Psychic can knock it out after a bash. And it forces Seismitoad in. Okay, cool. Got that information. Bet. Alright, so Melmetal very strong offensively, comes in on Clefable, Zero to a degree, a couple of these depending on what the sets are. Salazzle comes in on Clefable, and is actually quite good versus the opponent. Quite annoying. And then Dragapult, but we haven't determined the game plan yet, so we just determined the subjective value of each. And then Dragapult offensively is actually quite good as well, barring Clefable. So if Clefable's gone, he's just like, he cannot deal with Dragapult at all. Okay, so now that we've determined the subjective value, now let's determine what the game plan is going to be. Okay, who are we going to try to attempt to sweep with? There's another layer. But you'd have to get the book to understand that part. No, it's in the video. So if you go to the video on, I believe if you go to, which one is it? Now how positioning works. Oh yeah, how to use team preview, Pokemon Advanced. There's actually another level to this. He probably started the timer. There's actually another level to this where you determine, okay, am I going to try to, what kind of game is this? Is this a setup sweep kind of game? Is this a blow for blow kind of game? Or is this a walking the tightrope? And I'll explain that after the fact. But I'm picturing this as a setup and sweep kind of game. I'm gonna frame it like I'm trying to set up and sweep with my Celebi. So everything is gonna lean towards that. Each action will try to lean towards that. And in order for me to do so, I'll need to determine what his Aegislash set is first. That's gonna be first and foremost. And now we need to figure out a way to lead in a way where we protect ourselves. Okay, well, I had to figure out what's the most threatening to us. Zeraora for sure, from what we learned from the last game, and Hydreigon offensively. So we can't allow Zeraora or Hydreigon to be on lead versus something that would put us in a bad position. So as I'm looking at this Zeraora, I'm thinking Zeraora, Hydreigon. I'm actually gonna lead with, because I'm concerned about the Seismitoad as a lead. So he actually leads with Aegislash, which is phenomenal. Now we could have Toxic in there. So we see his special and he's Life Orb, which is good information for our so he goes Clefable. And I actually packed Sludge Wave just for this situation. Just for this Pokemon. Yep. And we'll be able to Sludge Wave. So this is a big deal because of Clefable. We've gathered the information we need. If he goes back to Aegislash, we can then Toxic him. And the Aegislash being Toxic. Okay, excellent. So Seismitoad being Toxic is great for what's it called? It's great for Melmetal. So when Melmetal comes in, it can't do any like it's over with. So we're gonna substitute one more time to see what he's gonna go for. I don't know if he has Scald. He won't go for it. We're gonna disable here since he's just mindlessly clicking. Yeah, I could tell you were mindlessly clicking. He certainly has Scald. So he gave us Seismitoad. So now, generally what I do in the middle of the battle, now these processes are a lot faster when I'm. These processes are a lot faster when I'm. You could have Grass Knot, and now we're gonna assess. Okay, well it's a special. What am I trying to say? It's a special variant of Aegislash. So Mandibuzz is more important than Hippowdon in this game. So if Hippowdon has to go, so be it. It's nice for Conkeldurr, but this, I'm trying to think if Grass Knot, if he doesn't Grass Knot, then he'd pivot to, actually no, we can pivot to Melmetal here. I'm not sure how much Grass Knot does. Okay, so it doesn't do shit. And so this is perfect positioning because now this assures that we get a kill as we go for a double Iron Bash. Nobody's safe. If Aegislash comes in, then he gets bashed. That opens up Mandibuzz. Now he could pivot. He King Shields though, and this allows us to defog. He's lost his Seismitoad, so this is great for us as Conkeldurr is his mon of choice. So remember, we're trying to build up to the Celebi sweep. Always keep that in mind. Okay, well, you got information on Zero. He has knockoff. Trying to build up to the Celebi sweep. So what will we need? We don't have the information on Hydreigon. It could be Scarf. Celebi sweeping, it might not be even the best bet here. It might be better to destroy him with, I don't know how I'm gonna destroy him with Melmetal when everything is faster. It might be better to try to destroy him with defensively. I'm trying to think. So Hippowdon's already lost his item. I'm gonna go to Hippowdon. 2 reasons. Oh, it's a CC variant. I wasn't sure if it would be, but it already lost its item, so I was open to this being a possibility. So he's gonna predict here. He's gonna go for something that can hit Dragapult. It doesn't matter. Let's slack off. Oh, he actually mocked. I am surprised he mock punched there. So what I'm gonna do here, since I'm trying to build up to the Celebi situation, I'm gonna substitute here. Sand plus burn plus the damage. If he loses this, he's gonna struggle with my mandible. He's giving me the Age of Slash. So be it. So be it. Right. King Shield will be a very smart play here. King Shield will be a very, very intelligent play here because it stops me from U-turning out. But he could just Life Orb, not me. Nah. Okay, so he actually hard switches to Clef. Surprises me. So he's gonna keep the Death Fodder. Surprises me because he can't Wish, and then you give me Salazzle back. Yeah. Like you give me Salazzle back. So like if you gotta protect, well, you might not have to protect. Like if he goes to Age of Slash here, the Clef remains low. So it gives me Zera Aura. I'm debating whether or not I want to. Yeah, we're gonna punish this bad boy right here. So we're trying to set it up for Celebi. Clef loses. Zera Aura is gonna get stalled. So all we need now is to Calm Mind, and we're gonna Calm Mind versus Clef. So what is the weakest link here? I'd say no, I know how I'm gonna do it. So if he Plasma Fist here, I figured he'd knock off. Now he can't Plasma Fist. He's either gonna have to CC hard, or he's gonna have to switch out and sack Age of Slash, both of which work. Toxic damage, excellent. We can go back to Melmetal. Right, excellent. And this forces a KO. Again, I want Celebi in, but the fact that the Conk has to CC lock to even touch my Melmetal, this forces the Age of Slash to get sacked. I would have rather have it sacked on a Calm Mind, but this works. As Hydreigon comes in, we have no information on this Hydreigon at all, but Mandibull is always the best play. Draco Meteor, so it's a Specs variant. If I U-turn, I get Celebi in twice. I'm debating if I want to win the game here. If I U-turn here, and I get, yeah. Trying to think how I want to go about winning this. Conk. So Mandibull is gonna be the sack. Mandibull is gonna be the sack. So I'm trying to determine is what. Yeah, I can afford the U-turn here. Trying to think positionally. He knocks off there. It's about what I expected. I don't need my Dragapult. There's the clef. Excellent. U-turn. I was actually gonna hard switch there. So now I'm assuming he's gonna teleport because he doesn't deal with double iron bash well. If he wishes, yeah, I got a melee here. Now these plays right here, I can tell like there are ways I could do this that are more smooth. So he actually gives me Hydreigon. Yeah, I think he thought. I think he thought. That didn't matter. Like I still would have won. Like I'm trying to set it up. Something I always want to do as well is ensure that. I always want to ensure that. Yeah, it's over now. It doesn't really matter what he does. He mocks. Yeah. Yeah. Celebi. Psychic wins. Because I'm trying to bait Clef. Right. Excellent. Excellent. We just see him. Yeah. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. Because Aurora dies. We just recover here because he has to knock just to minimize the knock damage. I mean, I was just gonna say like he could crit me. That crit is 61%, so doesn't matter. But like, see how we're talking about knock damage. So Celebi ended up sweeping, kinda. But like there was a part in the middle there where I was kind of sloppy with it. If I'm being honest, and as you like say, generally if I'm sloppy with a play and I'm like I know there are better things I can do here, but I'm not considering them. Blah blah blah. A lot of times the mistake people make here. So I'm glad I got a bad loss and now I got a very like commanding win. The mistake people generally make at this point is that they're, oh, I won. Okay, awesome. Let's go play another game. No, nigga. You gotta go back. You gotta do the exact same thing. You're gonna upload and share your replay. You're gonna click this, and you're gonna watch that motherfucker like you didn't play it. And you're gonna talk about it like you didn't play it. And you're gonna do the exact same process. I'm not gonna do it for this one because it took so long in the last one. But I'm gonna save this and review it for myself. But this is why I was dreading going through the process, because I'm like, I don't want to do the work. But if you want to get good at this shit, you gotta do the work, and that's the reason I really uploaded this video today, like to really call my own fucking self out on my bullshit. Like I'm not doing the work. And usually how I structure this is, okay, I'll do this for an hour. That may be one game. But that one game is worth more than you playing 10 for that hour and not analyzing it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna allot 2 hours for this, and I'm like, okay, well, 2 hours. 2 hours, and I'm just gonna allot 2 hours to just practice, and you'll find your play improving. And let's transition into a phenomenal story. This is gonna be like a movie, Pokemon the movie. Okay, so here we are on Discord, and there are just so many things that I've had ideas of doing. The Academy came about. Shout out to the Academy, by the way. If you guys want to be to learn all things Pokemon, join the Discord group. And the Academy Discord is here. Everybody is here to help you. So we have Sage Jam, of course, channel moderators, tour directors, draft lead directors, VGC headmasters. Headmasters are people who assist you with your playing, so you just ask them questions and they tutor you. OU team building headmasters, UU team building keep clicking. But like, it's all structured out to assist you in your growth. Like, phenomenal community, phenomenal. I'm not saying that because it's mine. Like, we structured it, the laws of the land. Let's say Discord rules. I do not want the Academy to be micromanaged. This was created to be a safe space where people who share common interests can come together and grow in the community. If that does not sound like something you're interested in, then leave. I stated this is like this is how we interact here. No toxicity, none. And if you're like it, gone. right? You're not about to come here talking all your shit and blah blah blah. Nothing but straight encouraging your fellow man. You can talk healthy, like shit talking, but nothing like to where you're just a toxic user. And I think the difference is pretty obvious. But yeah, so Skeptical Dingo has become one of my new favorite people, man. Love this guy. Like, wait till you hear the story. I need to have this animated. So Skeptical Dingo on February 18th. This actually was the day me and my girl split. Like, this was the day. It's funny. So I probably wasn't in the best mindset, but I ended up responding, and I'm a tough motherfucker, But yeah, he said, "Hey mate," because he's Aussie. "Sorry to bother you." And most people are polite. You can always PM me to ask me a question, as you can tell. Most people do so anyway. Sorry to bother you. Thanks for doing this academy thing. I hope it's time to start for me to be a competitive battler. Fucking music to my ears. I bought your old book. I was wondering about the new one. Is that bigger and a refreshed version of the whole or a whole new thing altogether? And he said, "Thanks for your time, bro. Keen to start this journey." Bros, you can't just wait. This shit gets crazy. It said it's a new thing, though it has some old concepts. If you check out the How to Master Competitive Mods video series, the thing I showed earlier, that'll give you a glance, and welcome. He said, okay, he said, still better to buy the book though, yeah. Enjoyed your first one, but I find it hard to get good, which is why I rewrote it, because I realized there were a lot of things, one, I didn't flesh out properly, and I just could have done a way better job at it. He said, I have no skill with team building. Yo, this is crazy. It's gonna touch your heart. He said, yeah, it'll be better. You don't need team building skill. Use someone else's. The academy has headmasters for each tier. He said, I'll steal LBRs. Just go to the tier channel you want to learn and add a headmaster. He said, I'll do that, thanks. Plenty of resources. He said, you're a legend. No problem, man. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you, and I'll start with the book and your YouTube videos. That was the 18th. The 18th of February. He hit me up the next day. Just boosting my ego here now. It's not. I was not in the best space at this time. I was kind of like, all over the place. Your videos are so good, man. Just thought you should know. And I really appreciate. Like, this dude is not because he's saying good things, but like you're gonna see. This dude is a fucking animal, man. I fucking love dudes like this. Not just in Pokemon, but beyond. Like, this dude's a fucking warrior, man. He said, your videos are so good. Just thought you should know. The way you explain some of this stuff is mind-blowing. Just hoping with practice I'll be able to nail it down. Bro, and so here's the backstory to the Don that is skeptical dingo. Like, I keep saying skeptical, so I'm just calling you skeptical, bro. He said, hey Jam, hope you're well, bro. I just wanted to let you know something. For years I've tried to get good at Pokemon competitively. I started watching Joey Pokegame when Black and White came out, but it wasn't until Oras that I tried to play that I thought I'd try and play competitive. I wanted to know more, so I literally Googled how to get better at competitive Pokemon. That led me to your old book. I'm glad that worked. It was a good read. I did learn some stuff. I got better, but not as much as I'd hope, and that's the key. I'm grateful that he even trusted in me to get it again, considering like I felt like I let people down, and I'm gonna go into that. And waited. I thought I'd never try it again. It's too hard to get good at. There's so much I need to know, and it'll take so long to learn it all, bro. I get it. Like, this is why we gotta do this Academy website. That line right there is why we don't have more people in the community, and that's why I want to just structure everything so you just have a quick, seamless process to where you can get everything you need. Fuck the bullshit. All right. So he said, I thought a few weeks ago that I might try again. In one of Joey's streams, he had me lead to your channel, Jamvad Academy. There I saw your video series. I was enjoying it. It's just so hard to know when to stop and practice and when to keep watching. I've forgotten heaps of what you've said, such as the questions I need to ask, which is natural. And then I watched your Rags to Riches videos and found your podcast. It encouraged me to really try again, so I purchased your new book and I just read the preface. Yo, the preface, I've gotten so many comments on the preface, man. Like, so many people. If you want to read the preface for it, even if you don't want the book, actually just go on Amazon, and then go to, I believe, peek in the book or so. Yeah, look inside. Just click, go up here and click look inside, and then you can read, like, I think the first couple of pages of the book. So rags to riches, and then you can read the preface. Never did I think I'd be authoring a book, and it goes through what I went through to get to this point. And yeah, like that, like if you want to get to know like my motivations, that'll give you a good insight. But yeah, he said, thank you so much for what you do. You're the only one out there that seems to be helping me. The way you teach is fantastic. Thank you so much, man. It's not telling me to do anything. It's making me ask questions, which help me learn and understand why. That's how I learn. I think that's how most people, like, when they come to the realization themselves, they're like, oh, that's the reason. So it reinforces that. An example of this was recently I led Dragapult and he led Zero Aura. I thought I'd stay in with Specs Dragapult. I was the one who was OCO'd by Playrough. I had no idea that Zero Aura was faster, and this is the knowledge pillar. Like, because he's a beginner, like what, 1100 or 1000 points. You know, he has to get his knowledge, and you know, again, go to the video series on the 3 pillars or get the book. Like, it's crazy. Like, I am so happy to read this right now. Like, it's really tough. Like, you don't understand. This is nuts. So teaching fantastic. Questions which helped me learn and understand why. An example. I thought I'd stay in with Specs Draco. I was the one who was OCO by Playrough. I had no idea Zero was faster. It made me ask the question now at the start of every battle: who's the fastest Pokemon? Because if I do, I might be able to revenge kill stuff. Awareness. He's starting to learn the awareness pillar. And funnily enough, he hadn't read the awareness pillar yet. He hadn't gotten to that point. But he didn't realize what was happening, at least not in words that he could say. But he was starting to learn awareness, which is dope. I love seeing stuff like that manifest. That alone helped me to climb to 1400s, which I'm stoked about. I'm finding it tough again. So now he's struggling at the 1400, dude. I'm surprised you got to 1400 that fast, like just in like a couple hours. Like, coming from 1100, generally people struggle getting up to there if they're new like him. So that's already dope. I'm glad. I guess all I'm trying to say is keep up the good work, man. And I'm really touched when people take their time to, cause I understand, bro, we got shit to do. So when people take their time and really flesh out their experiences and detail shit, man, I am so grateful for shit like that. Because it, you know, when you take your time and you do something, you want to know that it has an impact, right? I haven't made an incredible amount of money like I could have had I marketed the book like I could have, partnering with other YouTubers and whatnot. And that's something I'm going to do a better job of moving forward. I'm going to be pushing the book, not just one for my own sake, because I want to make as much money as possible from that. But secondly, if I put myself into, like, if I put my all into something, in me not marketing it, there we go, I'm essentially communicating to myself, I don't think the product is that great. And we're going to get into that in a sec. So, I had no idea Zero was fast, blah, blah, blah. I guess all I'm trying to say is keep up the good work, man. I really appreciate everything. I'm on 3 different Discords looking for a coach to help me to reach goals, which I think are still so far away. But 2 weeks ago, I thought were impossible. I know you're probably super busy, but I was wondering if you could hook me up or if you need someone who could help me. I was like, bro, I really want to. It's funny rereading what I said. It just sounded like how I talk. Bro, I really want to thank you for messaging me. Not just for messaging me, but detailing. After doing the book and the series, I lost a lot of drive because I thought I was done with everything. But getting messages like these always remind me that I'm not done. There's still more I can do, which I need for me to continue uploading something I enjoy. Trust me, man, your words had a far greater impact than you realize. Then he says, I really hope you continue to do what you do, man. Trust me, I've learned more from you in 2 weeks than I've learned from watching Joey for years. Joey, we just do different things. Joey entertains far better at that than I, as well as Blunder, MV, all that. I'm the competitive guy. I'm the the coach. So that's just my role, and I'm good at it. Sure, I find any YouTube doing a team. I can find any YouTuber doing a team building video, or Wi-Fi Battle Draft, League, Pokemon, Showdown, etc. You're legit the only one doing videos that actually teach. If your channel was gone, I don't think I'd be able to learn. So please keep going. As long as you can, you're a legend, bro. Man, this really touched me, man. I appreciate the shit out of that. He said, now the next day, he said, I built my own team from scratch, now practicing and taking notes on as much as I can, taking your book seriously. Pay attention to that motherfucking line and watch. Hits me up later that day. I'm at 1521, bro. My man went from 1100, from just the bottom ladder, to 1521. I know people playing for years in one fucking day. Cause what? Took it seriously. Alright, bet. He said, whoa, bro, I need to share your success story, because I know how rare this is, because I coach a lot of people. I need to share your success story. Hopefully you don't mind what changed for you. That's fine, man. Honestly, it's the highest I've ever been. I've never built a team before. Wow, like this is so fucking dope, man. Spoke to Savoras. Shout outs to Savoras, man. He's been fucking carrying the academy on his back. He's right there, matter of fact, still doing shit for everybody. Like, shout out to y'all. Need to just ping Savoras, just thank yous, bro. Go to academy, thank you, Savoras, bro. Like, and not just him, but like Devin been trying to set. That's why I got to get this academy website set up and right. And if you want to contribute to that, the GoFundMe's in the description. Give whatever is in your heart, man. We gotta make this thing, like, this is beyond just Pokemon, man. Like, for me, it's far less about Pokemon. It's more about like picking up a challenge and fucking killing that shit and getting to that goal. Just like how if you wanted to get good at basketball right now or get good at tennis, I mean, you know that you're not gonna be in the NBA, yet you still practice, right? You still go to those mini leagues, you still play soccer or whatever. So for me, it's the same thing. It's like just picking up another hobby and moving towards a goal. So whether it be Pokemon, whether it be Smash Bros, whatever the fuck you enjoy, man, same mindset. And I fucking respect people who want to help other people and who go the fuck after it. Which is why I knew I couldn't keep bullshitting myself and then showing up recording shit. You know, I'm very passionate about shit like this. In my real life, like, I am a ruthless motherfucker, man. My friends always say they have a floating voice, like a floating head. Like, they say, you know, like when they're about to do some pussy shit, like their floating head will come up and be like, oh, you're gonna be a bitch, bro? Like, that's how I've always been. So I gotta call myself out on my shit. He made a spreadsheet, the teams were such things, Stealth Rocker, Defog, which I think is really dope. He's gonna be a beast. He's gonna be able to help a lot of people. I see it coming. Like, he's too legit, and he actually follows the process. This is what I really respect about this guy, man. He follows the fucking process. All right, enough fanboying. He said build a team. See, I played a few games and realized I got completely destroyed by Conkeldurr, so I made changes. That is how team building works. This is the first time I've ever been this high with a team I've built. I've only read the beginner fundamentals of your book, and he's already 1521. He's already beyond the point where most people ever get, just fumbling around. It says to play 10 games per day, 4 days, and then again 3 days for the prediction, because they're divided into sections for beginners. I haven't tried the prediction stuff yet, but the question, what Pokemon does he have no resistances to? I found most times the answer was Hatterene. Then I asked myself, how do I get Hatterene in safe? He's starting to gain awareness, and he's not even at that part in the book yet. This is beautiful. From there, I found mons such as Seismitoad and Ferrothorn were easy to switch in on. If they toxic Stealth Rock spikes, it works better for me. The worst that can happen is I get knocked off by Pharaoh. This gave me a trick room as they switched to whoever they wanted to take a hit from their Hatterene. At the very least was getting chip damage, and most time if I didn't win the game, it put Dracovish Scarf with a chance to win. He's starting to learn game planning. Like, without reading that section, man, this is a beautiful thing. Seismitoad has been the issue, so I can't spam Vicious Rin and Mirror Armor Corviknight was my hat. But like the book says, it's not. That's not what it's about. It's a learning to attack at the moment and defend. Prediction is next, bro. Like the Lord sent this guy. Like because surely, man, if he didn't come, it's a very good chance that I don't know, man, if I'd have made it back. Because I genuinely felt like I gave all I had in me. So I think I lost 3 times out of 12 battles last night. Peaked at 1521 and haven't played since. But I've documented everything I can in a short time, and I've had a spreadsheet, as you can see. Thank you so much again, man. It's been 3 days, and I've already gotten further than I've ever been. And I'm like, bro, you don't understand how happy this makes me. People oftentimes don't follow the process, and to see you progress by doing so truly puts a smile on my face. You're going to have a big role soon, man. Thank you for sharing. And then he says something truly I wanted you to pay attention to. He said, I truly hope so, man. I really do. I was going to skip and keep reading. I thought, I already know what moves are super effective, Jam. I'm not going to play 50 plus games just to learn that. But once I started, I realized that's not what you were saying. The thing I learned was what can take a hit from Hatterene what can take a hit. What I learned was what can take a hit from Hatterene most times twice, because once Trick Room is up, I think he's in more than twice. Once Trick Room is up, I'm outspeeding most things. If you switch, you're taking huge damage. I can hit again and KO, or I can let another Pokemon take huge damage. It just made me think about attacking so differently. It's making my Dracovish cleanup so much easier if Hat wins. What he's learning is splitting things up, learning to attack fully, defend fully, and predict fully before I go into the deeper concepts. My Dracovish is cleaning up so much more easily if Hat doesn't win. And I'm in control. I'm not worrying about what they do. They choose who motherfucking die. And then I was just like, bro, is that a great feeling, bro? These are things I try to help people see at times, but people think I'm being arrogant and condescending. But it's just, I don't know. You can see it. You can't see it until you see it, kind of thing. Okay, so the next day, my man reset a goal for 1600, reached it. But it gets even crazier, right? He said I started at around 1100 to be exact, 1152 to be exact, and I went up, but I used someone else's team. I got to 1300 because I couldn't lose. Now I'm finding I'm beating people less than 1400 with ease. This has not even been a week, and this man is at 1600. I've had people playing for years again, and I was stoked. I wanted to win one game. I just wanted to get to 1600, and I dropped so hard, man. And this part really touched me. I dropped so hard, man. 1435. I lost like 6 in a row, and this usually is a mental barrier. Generally, when you're about to hit your goal, you're gonna tilt because you're like, I'm gonna win, and then you lose that next game, and then you lose. This part is truly transformation. He said, I lost 6 in a row. I was getting annoyed. This is bullshit. And find another game straight away, sort of thing. And then I thought, nah, what am I doing wrong? So I reread your book, still just in the beginning stuff. And what Pokemon do I have? He has resistance just to. My Dracovish was in my face the whole time. And some of the people had no water types at all. Neutral damage to everything. I destroyed this guy with Vish, 2 kills, and he forfeits 5 turns. I started thinking again, concentrated instead of going autopilot. And then, okay, so we're about to wrap the story up. I know it's long, but like this is nuts, bro. Forgive me for the spam, but I hope it's okay to continue updating. I'm like, bro, PM me all day, man. After our last chat, I was on a high. Then it went downhill so fast, man. Like legit, it's like all the skill and knowledge was gone, man. This is a natural process. I lost over and over again. Went from 1600 because he probably thought he was above the process. This is usually your ego inflates, especially when you grind this fast. Ego inflates to like 12, 24, man, and I couldn't get out of it. The thoughts of giving up came, and I thought the team I built must be garbage, but I decided to get back in the ring after a 2-day break. At this point he was 1668. No, he's 1668 now, right? He said, thoughts came up quitting, blah, blah, blah. And I just started thinking, really thinking, not just Dracovic is good here, is Hat good here, is Khan good, more like, who's setting rocks up for him? How do I get Hat and Vision often? Now I've climbed back to 1600, and I also beat a guy who was 1668 on the ladder. Nearly choke. That one, but Sucker Punch Duck Tier is a beast. And then he got to 1668. Mind you, this is all in the span of a little over a week, right? And then bingo. My man getting up even higher. 1700 in 10 days. He went from 1100 to 1700 in 10 days. 10 days. He said, dude, thank you so much. Your book said expect to lose. And I'm at 1700. Yes. And this made me so happy. And then I remember he posted a quote at one point. Because he was telling them, basically telling, he posted a quote like he was, but yeah, like essentially, dude, I could go all day about like this dude is a fucking beast. Right here, this was that part. This part, he said, so right here, he said, I think he dropped. Yeah. Understand 1700. Get out of my head. That's not the destination. You know what? I'll. Okay, so I found the part. Right here, he went from 1700 and tilted down to 16. He did a 500 point tilt and was going through all of it. Was going all kinds of pain, all kind of quitting thoughts, and then he linked me this quote that kept him going forward. He said, and this is from the book. I didn't make this quote shit. He made, like, this is fucking sick. I was so touched by this. He said, if you follow the principles in the book, you will experience a big leap in your wins after a few weeks. This is where things will get interesting. This is where what you're made of will be tested. At this point, you'll be confident that you can become a Pokemon master. After reaching a certain level, you'll go through a rough patch where you'll have a streak of losses and hardships. It feels as if you've regressed, and this is what differentiates the great players from the pack. I was so touched by that, man. I need to have a learner mindset again and find something to learn in each loss. So his ego got inflated because he made that was a crazy jump from 1100 to 1700 in less than 2 weeks. That's fucking nuts. In OU, that's nuts. That was a nut like that. I've never seen some shit like that. So yeah, but like yeah. So yeah, we're gonna grab another game. Mind you, before we grab this game, there's a feeling of apprehension within me. Like there's a feeling of overtime is gonna be like, oh okay, because you don't want to lose, right? Nobody, like, I won't say you want to win. Eventually, if you lose enough learning lessons, ideally you're losing so that you can eventually win. You know, you don't want to perpetually lose. But it's like, oh man, I hope I win. And because my confidence isn't as high, not inherently, but my confidence in my ability to learn, that's fine. But you know, my ability to surmount this situation, and this is a situation that I haven't encountered before in Sticky Web, Dracovic, that we're gonna have to figure out a way to handle, and you know we're gonna do so. Let's do the left to right analysis quickly. So Celebi offensively deals well with quite a bit of his team. In fact, outside of Mimikyu, and then this thing, you know, potentially having U-turn or Stun Spore, it's actually quite good. So I'm gonna be very mindful of that for a couple of reasons. But yeah, Hippowdon guards well against this, as well as Melmetal. Hippowdon guards are at 1, 2, 3. So Hippowdon is going to be critical to never get like significantly damaged. because I'm gonna need it for his 3 most critical mods. Mandibuzz is gonna be hazard controlling. Not sure what I'm gonna be defogging on, but not too much Okos me. Mrjamvad is gonna be important for the Mimikyu, Salazzle for Bisharp in case it boosts, or Dragapult in case I need to burn it. Dragapult, very difficult for him to deal with. And so game plan wise, I'm leaning towards defensively winning with Hippowdon and just kind of outright slow playing it, and then Dragapult cleanup. But you'll see what I mean in a sec. Actually surprised that. So we're gonna Earthquake here. He's giving me Drill. Not sure if he has Quake. We can't, as we just described in the beginning, we can't allow for, I mean, he might not have Toxic. We can't allow for him to, this is actually a somewhat tough turn. So Ribombee pivots out. I didn't think he'd pivot to Ribombee, but this works. Plethora of reasons, but what this allows for us to do here is Psychic into Mandibuzz. Let's see. What would he go for? Stun Spore, perhaps? See, right here, we're not following our game plan. We're reacting to the opponent. But I do have it in mind. At this point, yeah, Psychicking here is the best play. Because I figured if he does go to Bisharp, I can deal. I didn't think he'd he expected me to hard switch to something else, which means he's gonna anticipate me to stay with the Celebi, which means that he's gonna go likely for a crunch. I mean, he could Fishious Rend if he so chooses. Celebi is very good versus his team. Now that he knows that I have Aura Sphere, I don't know if he tried to scout for it. I doubt it, just based on what he went to. Him potentially Fishious Rending on my my Mandibuzz is too big of a risk, so I'm gonna actually Psychic as he sacks. And he made a good play in doubling to Drill on the off chance that I decided to pivot, as now he's gonna go to his Rotom. I'm actually forced to. Actually, Psychicking twice is better than CMing into Psychicking. Is it CMing Psychicking? Psychicking twice is better. So he pivots, anticipating something else. And even if he Sucker Punches here, I doubt I go down. But Sucker, me, I need Hazards gone. So I'm gonna go to he should Sucker Punch. Doubles to Rotom Heat. It's leftovers Rotom Heat, which is good information. I don't get the double switch to the Rotom Heat though. Debating whether or not. So probably Dracovish rears its head. I'm gonna be very careful around this thing. So we're gonna give up Salazzle here. Fishious Rend comes out. It's likely banded if he's playing the Dracovish like this. So now we get to go for Aura Sphere. Because at this point, he's trying to stop my Mandibuzz from coming in. There's no reason I was never going to Aura Sphere there. I don't know why he's preserving the Ribombee so much either. So now this has the potential to go for Nasty Plot Overheat, obviously. So I'm gonna Psychic into Dual Psychic, trying to avoid the chance of it. Now my my Hippowdon isn't as important. So we're trying to force the overheat. Yeah, force the overheat there. Yeah. So even this right here, even if he Nasty Plots again, Mandibuzz does take it. And then Mrjamvad into. I'm debating whether or not hard Dragapult here. Is there a reason to not give him? No, there's not. Yeah, we'll take it. Yeah, excellent. So now, how do I want to go about this? We could go to Melmetal and double Iron Bash. The issue with that is Rotom gets the free switching, which we don't want. So how do we clean this game up? Dracovish getting a free switch and Mandible's getting a free. So what I'm gonna do here is go to my Hippot. I'm gonna click Earthquake card. Maybe pivot to Dracovish. Stealth Rock's just the best play, right? Pivoting to Dracovish just covers that. And now Hippowdon beats the remainder of his team. He needs this Dracovish to remain alive. And now, yeah, we just go to what's his face in Hex. He needed that situation to pan out differently. When I thought about like just what that was less about a prediction and more of just about the long term of the game. Let's say if he did Nasty Plot, because of the sand, he has to remain around a certain range of health, and he has to overheat that turn, which would allow me to go to Mandibuzz, and then I'd be able to pivot back, because Mandibuzz, well, depending on how much Mandibuzz took from the +2 overheat, I don't think it'd take that much. But if I pivoted back, because at this turn, I think, let's see, he's gonna take 12% plus 6%, so he's gonna take 18%. So 3, yeah, he's gonna be able to switch in our rocks one more time. But yeah, like this could have been a smoother game, and you know, I seem like, oh, Jam, but you won, blah blah blah. Just looking at how certain things happen, I'm like, I could have accounted for Sticky Web better. I could have removed certain things. Though the way I played with Celebi was to avoid, let's say, for the Bisharp switch. So if you notice early in the game, and if I save the replay, if you notice early in the game, I hit his Hippot, I hit his Excadrill here, knowing that he wouldn't use the first turn to Toxic and waste that. Well, he actually could have if he was sashed, if he had Toxic. And then I made the decision to not just mindlessly Stealth Rock, because we already assessed the subjective value of Hippowdon, as we ended up finding out. Ends up going to Rabambi. So right here I could have technically defogged, could have went to Mandibuzz and defogged. Problem is his Drill is still alive, and I'd be trading Mandibuzz for a potential Quiver Dance to Rabambi. Now I have a Salazzle which 1v1s that, and I think that would lead to him having Sticky Web up and not Rocks, but Sticky Web is the bigger issue, so he'd still end up getting what he wants anyway. So I was trying to position myself to where he doesn't get what he wants. Celebi versus what he has is the perfect Pokemon to have in. So you never have like Swords Dance. I mean Bug Buzz. That's not something you run in OU. So I'm not concerned about that. Because he likely predicted my Hippowdon to come in there. But yeah, that's how I would go back and assess. Okay, based on the game plan that I construed, did that follow up to the line? Could I have done something better there? Was that the best play? And you reassess. Again, not gonna do a full-on left to right analysis post battle, but like, even though I won that game, what do you want to do? Save it. Oh well, so I had to skip to the end, but you want to save the replay and re-watch it, and that's how you learn. That is the key to how you learn how to do this game. And before I wrap up, I'm gonna go right here. So this is the book, if you want to pick it up, but that's not why I'm here. I actually did not know I had reviews, and if you read the book and you have some reviews, please, you know, drop your rating and star. So most people rated it 5, it's 4.7. My boy Dylan here left a mad, like a dope review. Like, not dope in the sense of like it was only positive, because he gave me 4 stars. Because grammatically I made some mistakes. But Dylan, I just read your comment, bro. I didn't even know that people left reviews, because it's been months since I put it out and nobody had left any reviews. but he left a dope review. Content wise, he's like it's second to none. But he's like grammatically made, and Dylan's a writer, so Dylan, you know, has a lot more pet peeves. You can go and read his if you'd like. But man, like I really appreciated the time he took to write this as well. And please hit me up. You said you hit me up on Discord. I'm not sure what your username was, but hit me up, bro, because he said something very important, which is what I was like talking about as far as quality. He said, where was it? Book is littered with grammatical errors. It's not as bad as I make it out to be, but as a writer, I understand he's gonna. And then he said something important. He said, personally, I find it unacceptable, most disrespectful if you're charging people money to read your work. So as from a writer, I'm thinking about it from a teacher's perspective. It's like the errors aren't like anything that like blurs the message or anything like that. I'm not a writer. You know, I can speak and communicate in that way, but as far as like a writer, that's not a strength of mine. So I'm loaded with errors because my brain is always, I'm sure there. And I actually had somebody proofread this one, so I'm surprised there's still this many errors. But he said that I don't know if Amazon allows you to republish. I believe they allow you to re-upload. I think in a certain, I'll have to double check, but it's a possibility. Also, I'm gonna have my own platform anyway where the book will be purchasable outside of Amazon. So Dylan, if you want, please hit me up so we can address these grammatical issues, because I read the book plenty of times and I didn't notice it, and I haven't had too many people notice any. Again, they're not big enough to where it's like, okay, it doesn't get the message across. But from his writing perspective, I can understand, and I have to agree with him on the fact that, like, if I'm gonna put out something, I want it to be as solid as possible, because, you know, he was saying like this shit is legit. It could be like in a library worthy. So I'm like, okay, I really respect that input and I appreciate that input, and I gotta take it into consideration. So if you want to proofread it, man, and then, you know, blah, 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 and we figure something out, hit me up. But other than that, if you're interested in learning that, let me know. Now I've given you the how-to as well, and if you enjoy this and you have any other suggestions and other things I can do to help you improve, leave them in the comments. Don't be shy. If you're not a commenter, leave a comment. If you made it this far, you definitely got to leave a comment about something. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.